everybody. Episode 105 of the Illiana Stock Car Radio Podcast. Jeremy Banning here, minus one Goodacre tonight. We're just with the OG crew tonight.
His day job stuff.
Man, that working's overrated, man. It gets in the way of racing.
It does, yeah, but it pays for the racing stuff.
Oh,
so
that is true. So yes,
we'll let him slide.
Yeah,
that is hanging out with your brother-in-law.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I don't, we won't go there. We won't go there. You're getting a lot of good stories. Getting a lot of little racing talk.
There you go.
With my brother-in-law, so that'll be good for him. But yeah, it's Jeremy Banning, Chris Goodacre here, the OG crew on the Illiana Stock Car Radio, holding down the fort this week. You guys, speaking of holding down the fort, went to the Racers Trade Show.
We did, yes, and that was the easiest time I think I've ever had at one of those, because Brian was up doing his sales pitch thing, and Mom was around the register, and I was just kind of chauffeur, really.
Well,
So yeah, sat there and watched everybody work, and like, hey, this is all right.
Well,
ran into your brother-in-law.
Yeah, feeling that boss vibe, just setting everything up.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's all right, man. That's what you do.
Yeah, had a great turnout. Got rid of a lot of old stuff, which I'm always happy about. Going to those shows, I like to take home less than I brought there.
Yes, less you got to put in the truck.
Yeah, Brian said basically, we'll get to this later on because he gave me his notes, but it kind of compared the swap meet to being like PRI, but for us. You got tables spread with parts, and there was, Shady Hill was there doing sign-ups, and UMP was there doing sign-ups, and there was, a small group of drug dealers there, and I made sure I got a box of Samoas, and Mom got a box of
those little drug dealers.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm glad I was healthy this year, because last year I spent most of it sleeping in the truck because I had, I don't know if it was flu or sinuses or what, but I was just miserable the whole time. So I was glad I was able to participate this year. Not that I was doing much, but yeah, it was fun watching Brian, kind of grow up into a salesman, and just thinking back to his first Larson show, not really being great on camera, to now, man, that guy could sell ice to Eskimos. He's probably hanging around Stan too much.
That could be. I don't know. I feel like you're welcome. We've brought that into the world. That he is now this,
I'm all
this
for
salesman. So. That's just what we do here on Illiana Stock Car Radio. It's growth,
Yeah, but the two of us get the name right.
That's true. That's the name of the podcast will be correct in the entire episode. A lot going on here in the world of stock car racing. We can talk a little bit about it after our guest segment. A couple little highlights. Grundy going NASCAR. So we'll talk about that a little bit. No caution at the end of the Cup race, so
that's always fun.
First green flag.
Yeah, that
year, so.
Dale Jr. talked about it a little bit. I heard, and I'm with him. I like that short coda. It seems to be better racing.
Between that and the tires actually wearing out, you have tire fall off. Them guys slipping and sliding and throwing the cars around. It's almost like it the way it should be.
Yeah.
And 4 or 5 car race right there at the end, all of them under the blanket, running each other fairly clean. Can't really complain about that.
Right.
All,
really,
so.
my only gripe, I guess, would be the track limits in turn 6 that turned into no track limits in turn 6, and that got to be a bit much because growing up with us is track limits at Illiana were just when you get that tire off the asphalt and saw what it did, and the Illiana hook, aka the Gurkey hook, and McCooley'd fill up that rut on the inside of the quarter mile every winter, and by week 2 it'd be all dug back out
again. Yeah, that's it.
So yeah, I can see where there'd be a case for maybe let's enforce some track limits so the drivers aren't just dive bombing.
Hey, the best track limit is a wall. Guarantee they won't go past it.
That's true.
So yeah, there we go. Speaking of the walls and the infield and everything going past it, we got one of your photographer.
Yeah, had to. I've been twisting his action. No, I just said, "Hey, Jay, you want to be on the podcast?" And yep, all right, you're gonna be there.
so we've got Jay Freet of On Track Designs.
Yeah, first of hopefully many visits, because Well, I'm sure we'll get into it, but there's a lot of stories that Jay and there's a lot of things that Jay and I say down the infield can't really be shared, but we have a good time and there's a lot of good stories that can be shared too.
Yeah, and especially I think the main one that everybody needs to know the essence of the pocket glizzies.
Oh yeah, because
Uh,
Brian made a note here. He was at 46 hot dogs at the track in 2024. I don't think Jay counted, but that's kind of where it all started.
yeah, so we're gonna hear about that, the origins of that. Just get to know Jay a little bit with his first episode visit. Kind of hear a little bit about his history and his involvement in the sports. And Chris, I think without further ado, I think we bring him on.
Let's drag him in here.
So here is Jay Freet. Jay, thanks for coming on with us tonight, man.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, I know Chris has been trying to work you over for a little while, and I think it kind of worked out.
Didn't take much. Just took us finding a spot in the schedule.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
yeah. So.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
And we're gone.
The in-car camera. Yeah, I'm just going to hold it. How about that?
All right.
All right. So for those that may not know you or know much about you, which I don't think is many people around here in this area. So
maybe out west anyway.
Yeah, you're well connected, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man. How you got involved in the racing scene, and plus in with the photography stuff.
Well, I blame my dad. He, like a lot of you, he started taking me to the races when I was a kid. And I don't know, it's probably 7, 8 years old, and something just clicked, man. And I just fell in love with short track racing. I remember going home after the races at night, crawling into bed, closing my eyes, and I could still see the race cars. And we went to South Bend Motor Speedway. And the big ritual in the spring was to run up those front steps to the top and just take it all in. And just fell in love with racing then. And it was a place my dad, my brother, and I always went. So just kind of a special place. We always went and hung out. And just loved the place. And then when I got old enough to drive, I had my own license. I literally would be the first person at the pit gate waiting for them to open up so I could get in. And I always had an interest in photography in middle school and different stuff, and always just loved photography. And so I just started taking my camera to the races and started racing photography then. And then years down the line, I did Steve and Jen Brown at the time owned South Bend Motor Speedway, and they asked me if I'd come up and be the track photographer. And the first couple of years, my schedule, it wouldn't work out. And then it did. And then it just clicked, and I was fortunate enough to work for them. And then when they sold the track to the Sowers, they had a meeting and said, hey, there's this one guy you've got to keep because he helps with photography, the marketing, all that stuff. And they said his name is Jay Freet. And Vern and Kevin both laughed because they're my first cousin. They knew exactly who I was. So we all grew up around racing together. And then, you just get into the graphic side of things and just love racing.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been awkward, if they decided they were going to let you go there.
Yeah. I came with the property, so...
As you mentioned, family business out there, and you spend a lot of time in the infield with that other one over there.
Hey, whoa, hey.
Yeah. So,
pictures or didn't happen, right, Chris?
Exactly. Sometimes it didn't happen even if there are pictures.
Exactly.
So, exactly. And one of the things we like to do here is we like to kind of tell stories, stir the pot a little bit, or maybe not stir the pot. Maybe so, depending on how we're feeling tonight. So maybe a good story or two from the infield you can share.
You know what? There was, we always laugh that we just take the pictures, but also we break up fights, we pull fenders, whatever it takes. And I specifically remember one night, there were two brothers in one of the street stock heats, and another driver had somehow managed to wreck both brothers in that heat, and then he himself dropped out. So the two brothers are standing there, and they're going to go get this guy, and they start to go walking by me because they're going to go fight, and I grab them both by the waist. I'm a bigger guy. I just grab them and pull them back, push them back. I said, we're not doing this right now. And they said, yeah, well, that guy is a complete, fill-in-the-blank expletive. I said, I'm not arguing that point. We're just not doing this right now. So, some of that stuff. And, some tracks are weird. Like, their track photographer, they don't want anybody else out there. And I'm the complete opposite. I mean, I saw Chris and his dad sitting up in the stands, and they had some cool cameras. And Tony, our promoter, hit me on the radio, said, hey, if you mind these guys come down. I'm like, heck no. So they came down. Ricky Klein shot with us, Kim Kemperman. I mean, it is. There were nights at South Bend when there would be 10 photographers taking the victory lane heat winner from, any of the classes, and they felt like they were at Daytona. And we just have a blast. And I don't know why you'd want to do this alone, because it's a blast. We have a party at pretty much every night, a lot of private jokes. And then the whole thing with the hot dogs, the glizzies. Yeah, we would get busy, and sometimes we wouldn't get an intermission. So I would just grab a hot dog wrapped in foil and stick it in my pocket. And then we'd be running around, and I would just, at South Bend, it was great. You were so close, you could go up to the wall and talk to people. So I'd just talk to people, pull out my hot dog, take a bite, wrap it back up, and stick it in my pocket, making no mention of it. So that's the pocket glizzy. That's where that all started. And then the joke got to be, is that a hot dog in your pocket, or are you glad to see me? And I'm like, both.
The answer is yes.
Yes. And then somebody, I forget his name. He's one of our, Trent Nilsson, I think it is, the photographer. He took it upon himself to make a hot dog work. Because one night he messaged me. He says, "What camera do you shoot with?" I said, "Oh, I'm a Canon guy, like normal people." And so he actually made a drawing of a hot dog with a mustache and glasses and an on-track design hat holding the camera. And so he made hot dog stickers. So these hot dog stickers were a hot item last season. And my favorite thing would be to walk up, like Charlie Hanna, for example. I'm like, "Hey, Charlie, would it be cool if I put my wiener on your car?" He's like, "Dude, you can put your wiener anywhere you want on my car." And it just gets to be a running joke. One of Troy Hahn last year, he's like, "Dude, every time I get in, I tap your wiener before I get in just for luck." So we have a lot of fun with being the glizzy guy. So that's where that all started. And yeah, we just have a blast. It's so much fun down there. It really is.
I mean, the best thing about that is the wiener jokes, and they totally fit, and we can make them.
It is.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I have wiener dogs, is so I can make wiener jokes.
Exactly. Then
we're all perpetually 12 years old, so it's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So obviously we've seen now South Bend Speedway close, unfortunately, but I'm sure you started there, got your start there. You got a lot of great memories, got a lot of great stories about that place. So anything good or juicy, from the memory bank you could fill everybody in on?
Yeah. So after I started taking pictures there back in the mid '80s, I built model cars. So I took a driver named Joel Singletary, took him some model cars. He says, "Hey, let me introduce you to my family." So I went up there, met his family, and actually ended up dating and marrying his sister. So I met my first wife out there at the track, and just a lot of great nights. That great big oak tree out front, the stories it could tell, where everybody, that's back in the 80s when you went to pay off, it was at the front gate there, and they would bring the rest of the beer keg from the beer garden and just hand out the cups. Everybody would just stand around and drink beer, and yeah, a lot of tales to tell, a lot of tales that's probably best we don't tell, but yeah, a lot of fun at that place, that's for sure.
If you think back, about some of the races you saw there at South Bend, is there one that sticks out?
Oh man, there's been a lot of great ones. A lot of dramatic finishes. Growing up when I was a kid, I remember watching the super modifieds, and some of those would crash and flip over the wall, which that was a big deal. Seeing those, seeing people nip each other at the line, and just a lot of the great names out there. Really none specific. Oh, I take that back. When the super modifieds came out there, when the Browns on it, the ISMA Supers came out. And they were, at that time, they ran like 2 sub 10-second laps in their feature. Yeah, and one of the Sacconis, man, he just dive bombed that on that lap, going down the backstretch, like probably, I don't know what he's accelerating at, and he won at the line. Just a super fast.
Wow.
I love super modifieds, but the bad thing was it was a caution-free feature that lasted about 1 minute and 40 seconds. But that's some of my favorite race cars there, the super modifieds, and just some of the great names, and even some of the not so great names there. Some very special moments with people, saluting families and drivers that had passed and that kind of stuff. So, racing's a big family, and if we can all take care of each other, it just makes it that much more special.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Chris, do you have anything you want to ask him? I mean, you set this whole deal up. I mean, don't be shy. We just got your brother trained up. I mean, we might as well work on you a little bit.
Well, so I would say somewhere north of 75% of the conversations that Jay and I have on the infield probably are not fit for outside the infield. Definitely, you had to you had to be there, and we're probably talking about you anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we can always put this deal behind a paywall and start telling those kind of stories. That's fine.
And just real quick, years ago, Chris made us these shirts because this is a phrase we use. That guy brings his A game to the B feature. And we have a lot of those. And then we won't name the drivers, but some of them at South Bend, particularly, the infield sits down in, and we were always looking like, is this the last race? Is this the last race? And there were like two drivers like, it can't be the last race because so-and-so isn't out here yet. When they get out here, then we know that is the last race.
Yeah, I would always love, because I would always go up and shoot the cars coming across the line. And then I'd turn around and look up over the crest of the hill and see a couple more roofs. Like, we're still going. There was one night that Kendall Maggart was out there with us, and I fully admit I'm not the nicest person in the infield, especially when we're on our third caution of the second lap of the Hornet H feature.
Yes.
And I can string some words together. And Kendall, I don't think was really prepared for my reaction to the third caution of the second lap of the Hornet H feature.
Well, and I specifically remember one night we were down there, and it was probably almost 1 o'clock in the morning. Same deal. Like, we've got 3 cars in this feature, and this is the third restart. 3 cars can't start. And Chris and I literally just packed up our gear. I'm like, they can race. We're just not taking pictures. We just stood there, our bags on our shoulders, our legs crossed, like, come on, let's get this over with. And then we walked out of there. So.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Transfer over now to Plymouth Motor Speedway. For you shooting out there compared to South Bend, what's that been like?
It's a lot more walking, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, we had some nice parking spots at South Bend. I don't like our parking spots so much at Plymouth.
We did, yeah. You could park your vehicle, and then about 200 steps you're in the center of the infield. Yeah, Plymouth's a lot of hiking. It's cool though because it's a lot larger track, obviously. So I think there's better racing there. There's more opportunities to pass, and the cars got higher speeds, and we're seeing some incredible shows down there. And just the way the track's laid out, like when the sun is just right, you can shoot down there in 3 and 4, and it's perfect. And you don't get so much of the crowd in your shots, and just it's another place, a different challenge to find the angles that we want to get and the pictures that we want to get and that sort of thing. So it's fun. It's different, but I love short track racing. So as long as we've got somewhere to shoot, that's the main thing. And I was thinking the other day about like Charlie Hanna and Rich Bull and Chris, you've been doing this a long time too. You see these guys that come out and they may race for 3 or 4 years and then they find something else to do. But you get these guys that have been racing for 20 or 25 years, and I just don't think you're going to see as much of that anymore. Although at my age, I'll never know anyway, right? So I just thought that the other day, just some random thought that you see these guys, pretty much commit their whole lives to that. And, I remember too, funny, when I first started at South Bend, Stan Kolosinski would always joke about the Big Time Shooters Club, because apparently back when he started, there were a couple of guys that talked about being big time shooters. So I knew I had officially made it when I got my Big Time Shooters Club in the mail. So I've got that in the house, and one of my treasured possessions.
Yeah, I got my membership card floating around here somewhere. That was a big day, and it was after Dad had passed, but there was one night at Grundy. Kemperman was out there. It had to have been for either Night of Features or the Bettenhausen. Kemperman was out there. Stan was out there. Andy Grod was out there. He's longtime Grundy and Illiana photographer, and me. And like, hey, this is a lot of Midwest racing history standing right here.
Yeah.
And then we had a similar shot at South Bend. I remember one night. It wasn't so much long time history, but we had taken we're nowadays we all do selfies because Steph's got a phone. I just do a selfie, but there was one night they're lined up. It was you, me, I think Ricky was out there. Abby was shooting with me at the time. Chelsea. God, there had to have been 8 or 10 out there that night. We all lined up on the wall and did a big, huge group shot, and that was awesome.
I think we made Patty take that one.
I think we did, yeah. It's one of the things. How do you take a picture of a photographer?
like who fights the clip thing. You know?
There was one night that I think Kemperman came up with this idea. I know there were 4 of us out there. It was early in the night, probably still during practice, and we all stood back to back to back to back,
Yep.
and we're shooting all 4 directions at the same time.
Yeah, and it's nice too because Chris, he was sort of on the forefront of the high tech stuff, so he could send pictures to his phone and send them to the tower. So some of the debated calls, they'd say, get on the radio and say, "Hey, did Chris get that?" "Yeah, hang on, we'll send it up to that." And so then we had documentation that that's what had really happened, not what people thought had happened. So
there's not a whole lot we missed down there.
No, the one driver that they were sure he had flipped the other guy off, and Chris had the picture like. No, he was just, wrong finger, but he was like, warning. So you have some of that.
Yeah, I mean,
talking about Stan and Kim, and I've had the honor of, even us photographers, we sort of have our role models and our heroes and styles that we like. And I mean, I got to shoot with Tom DeVette. I mean, longtime Midwest photographer. Shooting with Stan, and then the last night at South Bend, David Aleo came out, who shot for years for Stock Car Racing magazine and everything. He just wanted to be there before the track closed, which I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, and like Chris has always said, we who's the next generation of photographers? That's why we invite these young people down. For some people, this is the thrill of a lifetime to come and take pictures, and I like that. I still get excited like that. I mean, that's my favorite place to be, is the racetrack. And for other people to get to take part in that and to help people fall in love with short track racing. So the next generation and the next generation, because tracks are closing everywhere. And you need fan base, you need youth. And that's why I'm excited. Plymouth is going to do a lot of things for kids this year. 12 and under are free every week. They're going to have a 20-minute, during the intermission, they have some sort of 20-minute thing, game for kids or something. They're going to have a mascot. I mean, they're getting kids excited about going to the track. So, because
I'm just kind of excited about the 20-minute intermission. We might actually make it to the concession stand.
Yeah, I'm still going to take my pocket glizzy in case Tony just is being Tony. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to have the pocket glizzy for the H feature. It just by that point, Kit Kat's already locked up and gone home.
Yeah, and then some nights I laugh because we won't get an intermission. We're down the infield, and I'll take a bite of my dog, and I'm like, "Yep, that you now who's the genius?" And I put it back in my pocket.
Good point. I mean, always be prepared. It's like lesson 1. Always be prepared.
Everybody makes fun of me for carrying that wagon full of stuff down there, and every single one of them is digging in that bag for snacks or. Or I'm pretty sure at this point one of the chairs that I bring down there is exclusively for Jeff. He works hard, I think, sometimes.
Sometimes. The other thing I'd like to mention is that we rely on you because the weeks that Kemperman doesn't come, we always kid that Kim is like our den mother. She's like, "Hey, you guys want some pretzels? You want some Nutty Buddies? I brought this, I brought that. And I got Diet Pepsi, I got cold this and that." And she's always a blast to shoot with. I love when Kimmy Cupcake comes out and then like this pretzels, she can buy the long pretzel rods. They got too much salt, so she brings her vegetable peeler and she's over there knocking the salt off. Like, what are you
doing? She always gives me a hard time because she brings this cooler full of pop and sweets, and here I got like nuts and jerky and stuff that'll not go bad sitting there in the 80-degree, 90-degree weather.
Just the old regular buffet down there.
Yeah. And then we always laugh too, because like when I shot with Tom DeVette, I was talking about that. I'm like, Thomas, an honor to shoot with you. And I said, it was up at Kalamazoo, up there shooting him. I said, so what kind of, he's a Canon guy, which is like all the great photographers are Canon guys. We do talk a lot of smack about that too. So like Canon guys, we got Nikon freaks, and then the Sony mirrorless weirdos that, we tolerate. But anyway, I said to Tom, I said, so what do you usually set, what are your settings up here today? He says, I usually just put it on sports or auto. Now, I don't know if he's kidding or not, but we call it runner guy. Just put it on runner guy and you're good to go. But sometimes I look at Kemperman and I'll say, Kimmy, set that sumbitch to A for awesome. It's going to get real. Yeah, we have a blast down there. And I'm just so glad that I met Chris through racing. A lot of great people I've met through racing. Chris, and then his dad. It was always hilarious. We would stand over there watching race cars, and his dad's taking pictures of butterflies or birds or other stuff, which is always entertaining. And yeah, I mean, it's a blast. I mean, we're a team down. We're a family of photographers down there. And yeah. It's a cool deal. A lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly sounds like you guys have a lot more fun in the infield than some of us do out in the pits.
Well, that's what I say too. Like nobody's really mad at the photographer. Nobody's trying to junk their cameras every week, you know.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the cool part too is like, and Chris and I have talked about this at great depth. Is why wouldn't attract 2 or 3 photographers? So
Right.
some weeks there are 6 different people posting pictures from your events. You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
just yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And things happen. Sometimes, some people aren't going to be able to be
Yeah,
there.
I've only
And
the
scheduling
camera can only
conflicts.
go this way. I can't shoot that way at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
we do kind of look
typically
out.
why I have 2 people everywhere.
Yeah, we do kind of look out for each other too. But and then Chris will always joke too. Like there's a lot of pictures that will never never be seen. We always joke that on these cold gray winter nights we'll get out the do not post folder and just start posting those.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a blackmail backlog.
Yes, yes, there is.
Racing photography after dark, man.
Yeah,
It could be a thing.
we'd have to pixelate our faces and disguise our voices, Chris, but we could do it.
Well, looking ahead to the racing season, you kind of mentioned some of the stuff Plymouth is going to be doing for the kids this year. Anything pops out on the schedule that excites you?
The triple play for the modifieds, that's good. I mean, the modifieds, they put on a heck of a show, and I love open wheel stuff, always have. I mean, super modifieds are my favorite, but that's such a high dollar, kind of dying class. But excited about that. Excited about Reveal the Hammer coming to Plymouth this year, and seeing some of those guys race because they always put on one heck of a show. It's a long day, but as Chris and I like to say, okay, now bring out the sexy race cars because we've seen enough of the other stuff. We want to see some sexy race cars. So
Right.
Yep, and just as often as we say that, we harass Kemperman for. She always seems to disappear right after the late models in the street stock. So
well, and then
you
when
go
she
to
gets there,
Kemperman's site, there's no Hornet pictures anywhere.
and then we laugh too that sometimes when she gets there, there's a Kemperman caution
Oh yeah.
that she can come down to the infield.
Yeah, we're looking around for a car spun out or debris somewhere, and here's Kemperman just walking across the track.
Yeah, she was a huge help to me when I first started because I had a Fuji. I always called it a Fudgy to be funny, but I had a Fudgy fixed lens, and I mean she helped me with ISO settings and all that stuff. So she was a phenomenal help when I first started. And then now we all just go to Chris in the infield, all us Canon people. And I've even just quit having him show me what to do. I just hand it to him, and he hands it back.
Here,
Okay,
do this.
there you go.
Yep. I don't think there is a photographer down there that hasn't borrowed something out of my camera bag, be it batteries or lenses or backup camera bodies.
If you remember, like the second season I shot, I dropped mine in the battery pack just broke off of it. And Chris had a spare body to loan me that night. So, yeah, we all watch out for each other. It's sort of a fun competition. But, yeah, we have a blast. And
well, it's always fun when, like, Stephanie or Liz borrows one of my cameras because I end up being a shill for Canon because I know Liz and Kindle both. Or Kindle did buy one. Liz, I think, is still in the process of buying an upgraded body. And Stephanie several times, hey, how do I get pictures? Well, unfortunately, Steph, the threshold at this point is money. You got to buy the expensive body to get the expensive pictures.
No, but back to Plymouth. I think it's going to be a great year down there. Going to be a great season. And I tell you what, some of the best street stock racing around right now is down at Plymouth. I mean, they put on a heck of a show every week. High car count, highly competitive. Those guys are fast. Points championship came down to the very last night. So every night, that's always changing. And I think we're going to do some of the front wheel drives in with the mini stocks now, kind of combine those two classes, which should raise the car count. Because a lot of times you look at that, they're running competitive times. And like I said, the modifieds, those guys put on a heck of a show. And every week something different. It's a great place to shoot, though. I like it. The lighting there, the lighting at night, phenomenal.
After a few times there, it dawned on me where those lights came from and why they looked so familiar.
Yep.
So if you don't know, the stands, by the way, the stands at Plymouth are the stands from the backstretch at Daytona where there's no stands anymore.
Right.
The lights came from a place near and dear to our hearts, Illiana Motor Speedway.
Mm-hmm.
So it I'm shooting out there thinking, man, the lighting here is so. Why is it? Oh.
And
Yeah,
then
these lights are a lot brighter when they're not having to light up as much racetrack.
another cool part is the new pit bleachers they're putting in down there in turn number 1.
Hmm.
Those are from Illiana too.
Okay, yeah, I saw Kevin starting to work
Yep,
on those towards the end of the
yep.
season last year.
Those are from Illiana too. So that heartbeat goes on in a way. And yeah, so it should be a great season at Plymouth. Kevin's got a lot of fireworks stuff planned, of
Of
course, and
course.
we're gonna have some nights of destruction down there. We're gonna do the long jump car flip again, and maybe do a few safety improvements on that. But yeah, it's a blast. I can't wait to be back with my racetrack family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And we don't want to keep you too long tonight, but definitely before we let you go, I'm sure you're aware of our hashtag One Positive segment. All the negativity going on social media and around, well, just the world in general. We like to say the positives of short track racing and kind of what it's done for us and whatnot. So, do you have a hashtag One Positive racing has made an impact on you?
I would say, just like I alluded to earlier, man, it's the friendships, it's the people. I remember I had a tree come down in my backyard, and I reached out, and Bobby Stremme came over and cut that tree up, and so many people are like family now. Like Chris, he's like a brother. I mean, it's the people, it's the relationships, just like anything else in life. Some people that you just hold near and dear, and as I like to say, we're all in this together alone, and we all love short track racing, and
Hmm.
yeah, it's the people, it's the relationships for me. It's the memories that we make, and that's what I take away from me. Would take away with me every week.
Sure. And then, when we have drivers on, we like to let them plug their sponsors or supporters or families or friends that help everybody get to the point because nobody
Yeah,
does this alone. I'm sure you have people out there that have helped you along the way as well.
yeah. Kim Kemperman, Chris Goodacre, Tom DeVette, just everybody that I've come across. It's just willing to share, and like I said, we all just want people to fall in love with short track racing, and just encourage each other. And yeah, it's to me, it's the greatest sport in the world. It's so unpredictable every night, and yeah, it brings families together, and sometimes your racetrack family is better than your blood family. So
Can confirm.
yeah,
Oh, as the guy that has the family business,
yeah,
it's funny, man.
I never said which parts of the family.
Okay, fair enough.
that'll
Fair
be
enough.
another show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll be another show. Exactly. That'll be on the next one when he's got to answer from
Yeah,
Brian. So, either way, Jay, we appreciate you coming on, getting that first visit out of the way, and maybe look forward to having you on
yeah.
down the road.
Anytime. I'd love to. I'd love to talk about anytime. Anytime. Love racing. I appreciate you guys so much for what you do. And shout
Yep.
out to James
Thank you.
Dimmitt. Get well soon, James.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Hope he's watching. Hope he gets better. So yeah, thanks for coming on, Jay, and we'll hope to see you down the road.
All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
All right, and that was Jay Freet of On Track Designs Photography out there at Plymouth Speedway. And Chris, sounds like you guys definitely have a good time.
Oh yeah. Everybody asks me really, why do you go out and shoot Plymouth and South Bend? You're not making, a whole lot of money out there. I said I don't go out there for the money. I go out there because that is the most fun I have during the weekend. I love going to Grundy. I love going to Shady Hill. I love going, well, I guess Plymouth for the mini wedges, but the group of us photographers out there on a Saturday night is the most fun I've ever had at a racetrack.
I mean, you're supposed to have fun at the racetrack?
Yes, this
That's
is
how that's supposed to
fun.
work?
We're having fun.
Are we? Okay. But
Tell you what,
definitely, yeah, definitely sounds like you guys have fun.
going to South Bend and Plymouth to use my camera. My RC race car has never broken 3 times in a night.
Also
I
true.
typically don't have a whole lot of technological issues with the camera stuff. Yeah, as we talked about, I've been there to solve pretty much everybody else's technological issues, and with so many of us being on Canon, I've lent out every part of a camera you can.
Yeah, I can imagine it's out there. It's kind of like a camera war, It's kind of a Coke Pepsi deal. I mean, you're either,
Oh, absolutely it
it's
is.
like you're
And
either
and
Canon or
those
you're
of us
wrong,
on the
right?
Canon side are right. And as much as we like Kemperman and Cal Wazinski, we'll shoot next year.
yeah, no, good stuff. Good stories from Jay. We only scratched
Mhm.
the surface.
Oh god,
Obviously,
that wasn't even scratching the surface. That was just kind of like brushing the dust off
just
the
a light little
surface.
itch, not even
Yeah.
scratch. But definitely a good interview with Jay. Appreciate him coming on.
Mhm.
And we definitely look forward to having him back. Maybe we'll have him, go up against Brian in the hot dog wars this year.
Ooh, there you go.
Maybe that's
That means Jay's got to count.
well, somebody else could keep count for him. I mean,
Okay. Yeah,
either
that might
way,
work.
either way, or just have a board he can put a tally on something real quick, And
Oh, don't give me ideas. There will be a whiteboard in the infield of Plymouth this year.
that's what I'm here for. I'm the idea guy, always the idea guy. That's just what I do. We talked about it in the intro of the show. Grundy going NASCAR. So if you did not see this, Grundy has announced that they were going to be part of the NASCAR Weekly Racing Series,
Mhm.
something that the Rockford Speedway had previously been a part of. So I'm sure once that closed, that probably got the discussions going about.
Yeah. From what I saw, Joe's been working on it for a while, so I'm sure that probably started up right about the time that Grundy started adopting all of the Rockford leftover races. Not really leftover, but, all the races that were homed at Rockford that then became orphaned.
Right. Poking around social media and whatnot, everybody actually, naturally asks the question,
Hmm.
what does that mean? What?
Well, don't ask Rich Bickle, but
Yeah. Well, so what does it mean? And we will have Steve Bechtel on here in a few weeks when we start doing our track previews. Hopefully, more details
Mhm.
have hit the airwaves before then. If not, we'll grill Steve about it. But just doing a little bit of quick research from Short Track Scene. Matt Weaver had a great article on there about what does that actually mean to be a NASCAR sanctioned short track. Obviously, you get in running for regional points, national points. Everything's broken down into regions. Uh, so you'll run for those national and regional points. Comes with national and regional monies, also in those points fund and all that good stuff. There is a insurance benefit for the competitors. Obviously, those of us that have been in accidents could definitely appreciate that.
Jeremy, you sound like you got feelings on that subject.
and some of that coverage. You know what? It's a safety net, right?
Hmm.
Nobody wants to get injured running their race car on a Saturday or Friday night, and providing that would happen, or the unthinkable would happen. Want some kind of coverage there
Hmm.
in the event that were to case. In case that were to happen. So
Yeah, I know most insurance companies really don't like hearing that you drive race cars.
yeah, they do frown upon that. There's an insurance aspect of it. Obviously, from a marketing standpoint, ability to use NASCAR intellectual property, logos, sponsorships, all that stuff for marketing activation. It's big, especially when you think about one of the highlighted events of the NASCAR schedule is the Chicago Street Race. Love it or hate it.
Hmm.
Either way, with the track being so close to Chicago, you can get some cross promotion, easier cross promotion.
Hmm.
And you think also down the road, if the street race goes somewhere else and they relocate it, and we do go back
Joliet.
to Chicagoland Speedway again, just down the road to get a little cross promotion.
Hmm.
It's going to make that a little bit easier. There is also some stuff in there about potential broadcast rights. A lot of us here that watch this have Flow Racing. I know a lot of the NASCAR weekly stuff is on Flow, so does that mean maybe the Bettenhausen goes to Flow Racing or some of the bigger events? Those are some questions to ask too. So there are some benefits. Obviously there's pros and cons to everything.
Steve, this is your list of things that we're going to ask you. Be prepared.
Yeah, yeah. We're basically giving you the cheat sheet. This is just a quick synopsis of an article. One article that I read. Obviously I'm not privy to any other information. That will be Steve when he comes on. Excuse me, trying to kick this cold here. So
Well, kick it.
I know, right? Everybody's gonna listen to me cough. That's great. So yeah,
Well, you're the editor. You can cut those out.
I wish I could.
But now they don't know because we've been talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we'll have to see what that's going to be. So we'll talk to Steve here in a few weeks. Hopefully he'll have a little bit more when we preview the schedule for this year.
Hmm.
Get all that good information, more information than you can all handle.
That's usually what happens when we talk to Steve.
we talk to Steve, it's usually just break glass and let him go,
Yeah, pretty much.
which works out, makes life easier, and we all learn something. We all have a good time. We all
Yeah.
talk racing and get excited about the season to come. And some of the
That
things that
sounds like a segue.
it is. Look at that. Coming up on the schedule, and next looks like the Chicagoland Racers Reunion and Memorabilia Show on the 23rd, Chris.
Yep, that'll be our. How many times have we said that? That's our unofficial start to the season here in Chicagoland. That's, we'll be. I just sent our table reservation form in this morning, so we'll have a table. We're going to be doing a grab old people as they walk by and talk to them podcast.
I'm gonna tell everybody you called them old, Chris.
Hey, I'm old at this point.
Yeah, I heard that. But you said it is kind of the unofficial start because right
yeah,
after that,
always fun to be there. More fun to be selling because that makes me feel, less bad about spending as much money as I do on whatever models Don Rich has brought this year.
Yeah, for sure. But then right after that, man, we get into it. Fools 200 Enduro, the Gut and Go 150, April 5th at Plymouth. Then your open practice at Kankakee and Grundy. Open practice at Shady Hill later in April.
We gotta. I'd be remiss if we don't throw out there that Cheryl Wren has planned all kinds of kids stuff to do during that first open practice at Grundy. There's an Easter egg hunt. I thought the Easter Bunny's going to be there doing Power Wheel races. I believe you got to go on the Grundy County Speedway. It's grundyspeedway.com to register for all that stuff. But I know Cheryl, we've talked a lot about how she goes way out of her way to do as much for kids as possible. And this is, just another, like last year at the Goblin Enduro, we had a Power Wheel race, and that was awesome seeing all of her race car look-alike Power Wheels racing down the front stretch. And I think a couple of the kids took off into turn one and made it all the way around, which that's saying something for the batteries on those things.
But, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's going to be awesome. And it's as much as I love race cars, practice can get a little boring.
Sure.
Because it's just cars running in circles. So having extra stuff there to bring more people in, and especially kids. You get a kid next to a race car, you got a fan. The real hurdle, I think, is getting the kids next to the race cars.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if everything is still as I believe it to be in my head, which is, whatever it is, admission on practice day to the grandstands is free.
Well, if it's not, then I got to go change the flyer.
Yeah, exactly. So, so that would be, kids can watch the race cars free, and then they can sign up for all these great activities. So it makes it a cheap day.
Yeah, worth the trip.
Yeah, worth the trip. Get everybody excited about going to the racetrack, just like the rest of us all are, right? So yeah, then that starts it. It's just the practices and the racing, and we're gonna be racing here before you know it.
Yeah, we are, as of recording, we are 1 month away from the Enduro at Plymouth.
Yeah, so everybody start working on your cars now for the regular race season.
I say everybody continue working on your cars now. If you haven't started yet,
it's more like get started, but
Well, yeah, March Madness, we know.
Yeah, exactly. We're in it. We're in the thick of it now. So that being said, anything on a hashtag one positive this week, Chris?
I got Brian's notes.
Okay.
Brian's hashtag one positive is the continued support from our dirt racing community. Felt like the trade show swap meet was our PRI, and I know what he's getting at there is, we got that was, that was our best swap meet trade show non-racing event we've ever had. Just seeing the turnout and selling some of our old stuff, that makes us feel better about doing the new stuff. And then he's was working on a couple T-shirt deals, and I know we were talking about. I think he's got a couple wraps lined up. So yeah, and that I'm gonna piggyback on that. And hashtag one positive is the continued support for our asphalt racing community on my side. Just the drivers and teams that have really kind of come to us, and I don't want to sound like toot my own horn or selfish or anything, but it is really cool seeing how much this business has grown, and that's partially to do with me and Brian growing the business, but a lot to do with the drivers and the teams and the fans, coming back to us and getting more than just a picture from us or more than just a program on race night. We've got probably half a dozen, maybe 8 drivers now that we're doing T-shirts for. We got some wraps in the works, and it's just to see how involved I guess we're getting and how involved the community is getting involved with us. I like that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's always good to have that interaction and that positive affirmation that you guys are doing a good job, which you guys do.
Well, thank you.
And from one media, I'll call you guys a media company, to another, my hashtag one positive, and Jay kind of mentioned this, is going to go out to James Dimmitt. Damn it, Dimmitt Race videos. We all see the videos, we all watch them. If I'm racing, or we're racing, and I need to go back and review footage, or you need to pick something for a sponsor proposal or something.
Mm-hmm.
His stuff is always right there. I know he's dealing with a couple health challenges here this off season, so definitely wish him the best. But he's going to get my positive for all that he does and all that we hope he gets to continue doing here this season.
Yep, always appreciate everything that Dimmitt's done to help us out and promote us. So yeah, I hope he gets better, ASAP, because it just I want to go racing.
I know, man. And we're ready to go, man. And then we hope all of you out there are ready to go too, and we hope you've enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you're watching this here on our YouTube page. If you're not watching it on YouTube, I don't know where you're watching it, because that's the only place the video is posted.
There's dark places on the internet, I'm sure.
I'm sure there are, and if we're there, man, hopefully we're better in the dark places. I don't know. But if you're catching this on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. That helps us, help you, helps all the algorithms and all the fancy stuff behind the scenes that I know nothing about, but helps us get to your screen. So hit the like and subscribe there. You can also find the audio version on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Play, wherever you can get your audio podcasts, and whatever audio podcast medium you choose. Like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff there. Find us on the socials at Illiana SCR on Facebook and Instagram. You also find Chris and all the Good Acre Photography stuff there as well. GoodAcrePhotography.com, Good Acre Photography on Instagram and Facebook, and all that good stuff as well. So on behalf of Chris, I want to thank Jay Freet for coming on this episode of Illiana Stock Car Radio. We hope to see you guys next time. Good night.